I had heard stories of dragons here since I was a child, huge, prehistoric beasts that could swallow a deer in a blink of an eye. But it was only when I saw the eyes of the fishermen in Labuan Bajo that I understood that these stories were no legend. They spoke of the Komodo dragon with a mixture of fear and respect, as if referring to an ancient god who lived among them on this land. I had come to Komodo not just to take photos or write articles, but to touch the thin line between man and beast, between life and death. The ship docked in the twilight. The last sunlight poured gold onto the barren, grass-covered hillsides where tiny specks of dust rose like smoke in the firelight. A huge black shadow slithered across the bank, the first Komodo dragon I had ever seen. Its body was nearly 3 meters long. Its skin as gray as a rock shell. Its yellow eyes glittering with ferocity. It sniffed. Its head swaying. Its forked tongue flicking like a whip, probing for human scent. Marduk held my shoulder tightly, whispering, "Don't look it in the eye." Dragons don't like to be challenged. I stood frozen, a cold sweat running down my spine. The monster snorted, took a few steps, then abruptly turned and disappeared into the darkness. I realized I had barely escaped death. We began climbing the island's highlands. The Komodo sun burned my breath. Every step was a battle between heat and will. I felt like I was walking on the surface of Mars, where there was only dust, rocks. And the hoarse cries of distant seabirds. Every now and then, Wayan stopped, knelt on the ground, and put his ear to it. "Listen to the breathing," he said. I heard nothing but the wind. But a few minutes later, from the bushes, a dry sound came, the sound of a dragon's tail hitting the ground. Another Komodo appeared, almost as big as the first one last night. It stood still, its head raised. And I could see the hot steam coming from its mouth. Wayan motioned for me to stand back. The other 3 men spread out slowly on either side, one holding the rope, the other driving a spear into the ground, in a pincer position. Everything was in absolute silence. As the dragon took a step forward, the first man threw the rope, and it wrapped around its neck. The creature roared, thrashed, and lashed its tail. Kicking up dust and rocks. I backed away, falling to the ground. Wayan shouted, "Hold on! Hold on!" The men pulled with all their might, but the dragon was so strong that it dragged them all off. One spear broke, and a piece of steel flew past my face. Finally, after 10 minutes of struggling, the dragon gave out. It wheezed, its yellow eyes flashing with helpless rage. Wayan walked over and touched its head gently, as if apologizing. "We don't kill dragons," he said quietly. "We just catch them to remember they're still here. Otherwise, people will forget." In the afternoon, we carried the bound dragon down to the village. I followed behind, watching its massive body crawling through the sand, feeling awestruck as if I were witnessing a creature beyond my time. My mind flashed back to millions of years ago, when its ancestors roamed the humid forests with the dinosaurs. Now, in the middle of the 21st century, it still existed, standing tall as a witness to challenge humanity. In the following days, I followed them deeper into the mountains. The higher we went, the sparser the trees became, the drier the soil. Here, dragon footprints filled the ground, deep, long, winding tracks. Wayan told me that there were caves where female dragons laid their eggs, and the villagers avoided them, believing that if they disturbed them, disaster would come. I saw one such nest. The earth had been dug up. A few broken eggshells still left. No one touched it. No one dared. On the 5th day,
while attacks on humans are rare, they are not unheard of.
we encountered another group of people, illegal dragon hunters. They came from elsewhere, carrying guns and iron traps. Wayan frowned and whispered to me, "They sell dragon meat and skin to the rich." To them, dragons are not gods. They are money. A brief but tense encounter, amid the sound of the wind and the smell of blood dripping in the air.
As a result, the safety concerns have discouraged tourists from engaging in outdoor activities, leading to a decline in tourism.
I realized the terrible contrast between human reverence and greed. Dragons do not change. Only we do. And that makes them the last symbol of the wildness humanity is losing. As the boat pulled away to take me back to the mainland, Komodo Island faded into a hoarfrost. I turned around one last time, feeling like I was leaving another world, over the sound of the waves. I heard a distant roar, a deep, ancient sound, echoing from the earth. Maybe it was just the wind, or maybe it really was the greeting of dragons that had survived the age of man. Whatever it was, I knew I would carry it with me forever, the call of the wild, of the world yet to be tamed. And I thought to myself, perhaps, the Komodo dragons never needed myths to be great. Their very existence, between darkness and light, was the most miraculous thing nature had ever created.
Since Komodo dragons are protected by
Feral hogs are not native to the United States. Their ancestors were brought to the Americas by the Spanish in the 16th century as a mobile food source. But over hundreds of years, many escaped into the wild, interbreeding with domestic pigs, creating a ferocious and uncontrollable hybrid species. In Texas, in 1 year alone, it was estimated that more than 2.6 million wild hogs were roaming, destroying crops, mauling livestock, and even attacking humans. The state government calls them America's most dangerous ecological invaders. But for people living in rural areas, where every rainy season brings the fear of losing their cornfields, wild hogs are more than just a scourge. They are the most attractive hunting target. Hunting wild hogs has become a part of culture, a game, a way for humans to control wild nature. And there, each hunt is a story both terrifying and fascinating, both brutal and heroic. In a small town in East Texas, there is a man named Clay Matthews, a true native. with graying hair but eyes that still sparkle when he talks about wild hogs. I grew up hearing him roar, he says, sitting by the fire, his calloused hand gently stroking the stock of his rifle. At night, you hear the plowing, the grunts, like a mix of cows and wind. That's when I know they're coming. And when a pack comes, they'll tear up a cornfield in an hour. Clay doesn't hunt for fun, but for survival, but for him and many others. Wild hog hunting has gone beyond necessity, it's become a ritual. An encounter between man and nature, where the primal instincts of humanity are awakened. The night hunt begins as the sun goes down. Clay and two friends load up the pickup with R-15 rifles with infrared scopes, a few cunning Catahoula hunting dogs, and a case of cold beer. They drove through the red dirt roads, through the silent cotton fields, the only sound being the chirping of crickets. Wild pigs are smart, Clay said. They hide in the woods during the day and come out at night to feed. Without night vision, you'd never see them. In the infrared light, the world turned pale green. A bulky black figure moved slowly between the bushes. The wind whistled past their ears. Then, boom, a gunshot. A flash of lightning lit up the night. The boar collapsed, its heavy body crashing to the ground. But then 4 or 5 more jumped out of the darkness, running like bullets. A dog followed, barking loudly. The screams, the pounding of feet, the gasps of humans, and the roars of animals mixed together, creating a chaotic cacophony of the night forest. When dawn broke, the ground beneath their feet was streaked with footprints and blood. Clay wiped away his sweat and looked down at the 250-pound carcass. Its tusks sunk deep into the ground. You see, he said, it looked like it was fighting when it died. A wild boar is said to run as fast as 30 miles an hour, and if cornered, it will charge straight at its foe, sinking its tusks into a human's belly or leg. Hunters have been seriously injured, or even killed, trying to approach them in the jungle. So hunting wild boars is not a game for the faint of heart. It requires skill, courage, and a little recklessness. Wild boars have spread beyond Texas to more than 30 other states in the US, from Florida to California. From Alabama to Oregon, they reproduce incredibly quickly. A mature female can give birth to up to 12 piglets a year. And after just 6 months, the piglets will start to reproduce again. So even though people kill millions of them every year, their numbers continue to increase. Many agricultural areas were devastated. In 2023, the damage caused by wild pigs was estimated to be more than $2 billion. The government tried many measures, from trapping, using pesticides, even banning feeding to reduce breeding, but it did not work. In the end, the only way was to hunt. And that is when Americans turned it into an industry. Many hunting tourism companies sprang up, offering wild pig hunting services by helicopter, for prices ranging from $1 to $4 per trip. Tourists, especially gun enthusiasts, from all over the world flocked to Texas to experience the feeling of real battlefield adventure. They flew in helicopters, semi-automatic guns in hand, shooting down pigs running wild in the grasslands. The feeling, wild, dangerous, and addictive. At first, I just went with a group of friends. But after a few trips, I realized this was real work. I was helping people reduce damage and making a living, says Ryan, a professional hunter. He says that one night he shot more than 30 pigs, each weighing an average of 80 kilos. The meat wasn't thrown away, it was made into sausages, smoked, or given to charities to cook for the homeless. Nothing was wasted. Ryan laughs. Even the blood was washed away with sweat. Some groups choose a more traditional approach, using hunting dogs and knives. This is the most dangerous form, but also considered the most real, because it puts the man on the same level as the animal. The hunter must face the beast head-on, fighting inch by inch. A small mistake can cost a man his life. But for people like Clay, it is this moment that is the pinnacle of the feeling of being alive. When the knife pierces its skin, when its roar blends with the sound of your heart, you will know what it means to truly hunt. Americans look at wild boars with two opposing emotions, hate and respect. They are intelligent, resilient, and adapt to any environment, from deep forests, swamps, to arid regions. They know how to avoid traps, recognize human scent, and can remember dangerous locations for months. It is this intelligence that makes them so difficult to kill. But because of that, hunters respect them even more, considering each wild boar a worthy opponent. In winter, when snow covers the grasslands, wild boar tracks are clearly visible on the snow, and hunting groups set off again. In Montana or Oklahoma, people hunt with bows, with wire traps, even with classic daggers. In Florida, they use small boats to float into the swamps, listening to the wheezing of the pigs waiting to prey. In California, wine farms located near the forest often hire professional hunters, because wild boars like to destroy ripe grapes. And in all these scenes, humans, no matter how modern, still appear as primitive creatures, facing nature with the instinct to survive. A pack of feral hogs can destroy a hectare of field in a matter of hours. They don't just eat, they destroy. They uproot trees, dig up anthills, destroy bird nests, and chew up crop roots. With their keen noses, they can smell grain buried half a meter underground. "I know my field is done for by the sound of them grunt," said one Georgia farmer. "By morning, there's nothing left but mud and footprints." That's why many areas consider feral hog hunting a duty. In Texas, the government even allows year-round hunting, with no limits on numbers and no special permits. Some hunt with guns, some set traps, some use dogs. Each method has its own story, a mix of skill, blood, and patience. Trappers often build large, circular iron frames with automatic doors. When one gets in, the door slams shut, trapping the whole herd inside. But feral hogs aren't stupid. They usually send a small one in first to scout. If there is no strange smell, the whole pack will follow. Therefore, many trappers have to set bait for days to build trust. When the door finally falls, they are faced with terrifying roars, wild boars crashing into the steel frame, biting each other in panic, blood and mud mixing into a mixture that smells strongly of iron. Hunters, on the other hand, see it as a physical and mental battle. Hounds are trained to detect scent, chase, and hold prey until the hunter arrives. In that moment, the human rushes into the chaos of fur, blood, and dirt. One hand holds the knife, the other holds the dog leash, eyes fixed on the shiny fangs of the beast. Some hunts end in cheers, others in blood and groans, but veteran hunters see it as a rite of passage. If you haven't seen the last look in a wild boar's eyes, you haven't really seen what it's like to face the wild, said one hunter in Louisiana. In the United States, wild boar hunting is no longer just for men. More and more women are taking part, many of them becoming renowned marksmen. A young woman named Hannah, who lives in Florida, said she learned to shoot from her father when she was 10 years old. The first time I shot a 200-pound hog, I was shaking, not because I was scared, but because I was excited. That feeling, nothing can replace it. Now, she guides hunting groups through the woods at night, telling chilling stories of wild boars flipping jeeps and attacking hikers. The hunt is not just on the ground, it's also in the air. In Texas and Oklahoma, the image of helicopters hovering low over the ground, the sound of blades and gunfire has become a symbol of war on wild pigs. The helicopter pilot skillfully maneuvers to follow the running herd, while the gunner next to him shoots down from above. Under the blazing sun, small black dots move quickly across the grasslands. Those are wild pigs. Running and wagging their tails, trying to find shelter. Each bullet explodes in the dust. At the end of the flight, they record the achievements, 15, 20, even 50 in one morning. One hunter laughs. Here, Helicopters are not just for sightseeing, they are weapons. However, not everyone agrees. Many animal protection organizations oppose helicopter hunting, calling it cruel, but the people who suffered the damage think differently. If you saw a pack of wild hogs destroy 30 acres of corn overnight, you would understand why we have to do this, said one Arkansas farmer, looking toward the horizon where the red sun was setting. The conflict reflects the complex nature of the relationship between humans and nature. Wild pigs, though considered invaders, are creatures of wild beauty. In the morning light, with dew on their fur, they look almost ancient, as if they had stepped out of prehistoric times. Their bodies are stocky, their muscles are like steel, their hides are thick enough to withstand small bullet wounds. Their hair is jet black or dark brown, stiff as a brush, bristled when alert. Their scent is strong, pungent, both foul and strange, the kind that hunting dogs can follow for miles with just a whiff. They are not only physically strong, but also cunningly intelligent. Biologists at the University of Texas have attached GPS tracking devices to some individuals to study their behavior, and have found that wild pigs can travel more than 15 kilometers per night, completely avoiding areas that have been hunted or trapped. They learn quickly. If one of the herd is shot, the others will change their route the next day. Sometimes, after just a few days, they will completely disappear from the observation area, only to reappear 3 months later dozens of kilometers away. Their spread is a terrifying ecological phenomenon. Wild hogs can adapt to almost any condition, from the cold regions of the north, where there is snow all year round. To the arid deserts of Arizona, they know how to find water, how to dig holes to avoid the sun, and even how to wade through rivers. Many people have seen them swim across lakes hundreds of meters wide without tiring. And once they reach a place, they leave traces: plowed land, uprooted roots, and cries that echo everywhere like a declaration of sovereignty. There are nights when hunters go dozens of kilometers without seeing anything. The forest is quiet, only crickets and wind can be heard. But then suddenly, the smell of damp earth and a distinctive stench creeps into the nose. A new patch of earth has been dug. A broken branch. They knew they were near. Hearts pounded. Sweat poured out despite the cold. A flashlight flashed, reflecting bright eyes in the bushes. And the next second, the whole space exploded in a chaotic sound of gunshots, screams, and running feet. The hunt was on. There was no room for hesitation. No second chances. When a boar was cornered, it didn't run. It fought, with its long tusks and powerful gore. It could knock a tall man down. Many veteran hunters bore long scars, marks of their first counterattack by an opponent. But those scars made him proud. For them, they were medals of those who had dared to look wild nature in the eye.